Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we're going to go over Evolve this last week. Now, honestly, this is a weird show on this one because we only get the one match, which is a giant big gauntlet match. So I did assume that it was going to take up most of the thing. I know they had talked about the Chantel Monroe Wendy Chu match, and then they like did it as like a work where they just like, oh, we're going to cancel it and bring it on the next show. And I was just very confused by that. I felt like this isn't like a live show or anything like that, so none of that should have really came into effect. But I guess that's what they wanted to do here. I think maybe they're trying to have a little bit of a storyline with maybe the women getting disrespect and they're going to be demanding more. I guess that's kind of what they seem like they were saying in the background, but we'll jump over and talk about it. So we started off the show with It's Skull kind of presenting the whole thing. Honestly, It's Skull had like a pretty decent presentation of that. I don't really think they'll use him as an authority figure, especially like not that he's like gimmick or anything that's close to Robert Stone's, but like they're both kind of like have like the same type of like kind of a personality, so like it wouldn't really I think work too much with that. But I could see them using him in these type of things. We've also saw like he's used the studometer. He's done other things to make his time on this show, and I really got to give him that because there's very few people that have been on like multiple episodes and have multiple spots even if they don't get matches, and I think he's made the most of his time, and I personally think that's a cool thing. I mean, sometimes you have to do that with people. It's like you just got to get as many people across the board and like shown on these shows so people can be like, well, I like this person, I like that person, and all that type of stuff. But I think he's definitely rose up from that because I mean, I don't think I was necessarily like a fan or not a fan. I didn't think it was anything too crazy, but I think I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I like this. This is starting to work. I think it's gonna also resonate with the fans just seeing him as much as possible. I'll put in a solid A. I don't know if I'd put an S tier because obviously I don't think they really needed to tell us and explain this 5v5 again. And part of the information I thought ended up just kind of being false because it was like these are the two teams, and then the ID talent had one mystery spot, and then the PC's talent was not that team. So I guess they changed it up, which I guess it makes sense. I mean, if you're working as a team together, they're going to get to choose one episode, so that could be interesting. I don't really know what they would do to load it up, but it'd be interesting. The only other segment we got that was in the ring was Kendall Gray with Callie Armstrong, and P Nasty or PJ Vasa. I'm always going to call her P Nasty. I think that's her best name. But Kendall Gray, absolute superstar, man. She just keeps hitting it out of the park. And I think she's really one of those people that, like, they have to be kind of creative here and get this title off of her and get her into the NXT roster. I think she's so extremely over, especially with winning the Iron Survivor, that I think she just needs to drop this title as fast as possible and get off of Evolve, which I absolutely would be upset about to a certain extent, but it's such a great step forward. And like the women's division on NXT is pretty soft, so if she's gonna go up there, this would be the time. And this triple threat that it kind of seems that they're alluding to, I think this is what they need to do. I wouldn't be surprised if it could be a very shocking surprise, but they could possibly add Carly Bright if they wanted to, because she's like, she'll go on her own. Maybe it wraps back around depending on how long the storyline takes. Obviously, sometimes it evolves. It could take a little bit longer. But if this is the thing that they're doing with the triple threat, I'm on board. I think this would be a great way because it could easily be Callie Armstrong pinning P Nasty to win the title back. She gets her second reign. They get to decide what to do with her, and they move Kendall Gray up. Because if the main roster takes anybody from NXT, especially on the women's side of things, they're going to desperately need a star. And she's somebody now that everybody has seen in Kendall Gray that she's ready. I just can't see her not being. So I like the segment in general. The rest of it was okay. I would say like their actual like presentation of the whole thing could definitely need some work. Obviously, this is Evolve, so I'm not gonna knock them on it because they're not supposed to be perfect. If they're perfect, they shouldn't be on the show. Like they should be up to the next rest thing. Obviously, I think P Nasty's probably the worst on the mic, but like she has like the intimidation part of it, but that's about it. Like she definitely can go down there and say a few things like she did here, but if she had to like be the aggressor of like being the first person in there and she had nothing to work off of, I don't see her having as good of a time. Callie Armstrong's always like, pretty decent, and then I think Kendall Gray's a little bit above average. So all together, I think a nice solid A. Then we added a Wendy Chu segment. I like that she actually gets to talk. She's actually really decent on the mic and different. decent on promos when I've seen her in the past in this, so it's nice to see her do this. I do think this feud's a little bit like thrown into the wastebasket because of all the stuff that comes from it, which we'll talk about. Let me move this part here. It'll be easier to talk that way. So I thought her part, I thought she did pretty solid. I put it in A. Chantel Monroe, I feel like she definitely needs some work on everything. I think she's like she has an idea, she starts talking, and it seems like an old like high school skit. I think she really needs more time on that mic to do it because I think she has the look and I think her skill's pretty solid. So that mic skill is definitely the corner that she needs to be working the most on. But I'll still put it in a solid B. I don't think there was anything bad about it, but just not quite there. Then yeah, they were supposed to have a no disqualification match. They built this up perfect to be on this card, and then they canceled it. And then they added it to the first show of the new year, which is going to be the next show because there is no new shows all the way until the start of the year, which is just wild to me. It makes no sense when you film 4 weeks in advance while you can't be a week-to-week programming. I guess that's the way that they wanted to do it here. Kind of sucks, but I guess we'll do it. You got to think, for these type of shows, there's a lot of people that watch it, like I do. A lot of people that like cover it, other people that we've seen, and there's other people that watch it on like a semi-regular basis or see certain people like that they like from NXT. Now, there's a big population of the wrestling community that doesn't even know this exists and barely ever has probably even heard of it because they don't even advertise for it anymore unless you watch Evolve. They've never said anything on the main roster. They haven't even just alluded that there's an Evolve down there anymore. So, like, the big thing is to be consistent. If you every Wednesday have this, then people watch it. But having that much time in between, because you have next week, obviously, is Christmas Eve. I can understand missing that one. And then I guess because it's New Year's Eve. But, like, it's a streaming thing. Nobody's gonna, like, not a lot of people watch the show live. I don't get to watch it live. It pops on at 7, and normally it's about 9 to almost 10 o'clock by the time I get to watch it because I'm at work. So, like, there's, it's just stuff like that. I guess it's just kind of a random side tangent, but I feel like you're really putting in some problems if you don't do that. So I'm gonna put this down in D. Just kind of sucked. We also had a Charlie Dempsey and Timothy Thatcher backstage thing. They had been kind of Charlie Dempsey had asked him for a fight. Timothy Thatcher said, "I'm not really here. I'm like kind of a coach thing." I think this would be a good match that they eventually do. Not really big like to the huge technical wrestling, but I can at least appreciate that this match probably is really good and kind of also like one of those bucket list things for Charlie Dempsey. Honestly, I think Dempsey has like the pedigree to do a lot of stuff. He just never really has gotten the push in NXT. So if he wants to restart here, I think this wouldn't be a bad idea. So I'll put it in B. I don't mind seeing it. It's going to be probably, like obviously until all the way to next year. Then we had the 5v5. We'll talk about it in two different parts, at least two big things I wanted to say. Obviously, starting off with Aaron Rourke and Kiana Carver. Some pretty good picks. The only thing I really thought was interesting is they really just kind of went with the like heel face dynamic of the two sides. I really don't know why they necessarily did that on this, ID program and PC talent, because it really made it feel like the PC talent are just kind of a-holes. Like, I didn't really feel like, oh, these guys are just heels. Like, no, they just feel like a-holes, because like you're not really thinking about the heel and face thing when it comes to like this type of match. Like, they just do stuff to do that. Conor Carver started off, he had a pretty solid first part. Aaron Rourke lived as long as he could, didn't end up happening. Then we had Mike Cunningham in there. There was nothing he could do. And then, what was it? Sam Holloway came back. And they had also Sean Legacy try to come down, even though he was like in that injury thing. So they definitely had some good spots there of like getting the people in there. But obviously they were just kind of running through them, which we kind of figured it would be a close one. I'm kind of glad they didn't do like a 5-4 finish, because like it always makes it feel like, oh, there's a chance. Capadrino Jones lasted as long as he could, and it wasn't until they took out his knee where he just couldn't do anything. I felt like the story they were telling and the rivalry and the little bit of stories they can pull from this match, I think will be really good. And obviously the team PC won with the help of the debuting Anthony Luke, but Cam Kendrick is what they calling him. I'm not a big fan of that name. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's like a problem. You gotta get used to it. But like, I think that's the only issue. Like when you have the LFG stuff, I feel like at LFG, at some point they should get them that new name because then it makes sense that once they debut, you're kind of already aware of them. Like they when they said Cam Kendrick, I was like, who is that? And then when I saw him, I'm like, oh, it's Anthony Luke. I liked him on LFG. I think he was kind of one of those people that just kind of just didn't get the last like he kept getting really deep into the feint and just couldn't finish it out. I think this is kind of the spot to put him in because I think he has the mic package of like I think he's good at promos, good with his character work, but I think he really just needs that time to get more matches under his belt. And this is the perfect spot to put him. I think he could be a big player. Obviously, he wins it for his team. I think him debuting, I'll put it up in S tier. We'll see how it goes. Most of the LFG people have not survived here other than Tyra May Steele so far, because I mean, obviously the other ones are just debuting recently, but the first season people just really didn't survive. So we'll see how that goes with him not winning and if what will happen with him. And then obviously, like we said, they win. The PC talent will first. Cam Kendrick gets a match against Jackson Drake. Going to be a great start for him. I don't think he's going to win, but I think it's going to be a big giant boost for him. And then obviously they get to pick the show, which probably honestly I don't even know which way they're going to go because like you would want to just set it up as like a PC only match, right? Like you'd only want performance talent going in there. And I guess it's like a weird thing. I guess it's maybe to set up some type of authority figure or something because I think getting rid of Stevie Turner I think was kind of a bad idea. Even if they didn't want Stevie Turner, they should have had something in place to get somebody else in there. And this match, I barely have talked about it just in the actual physical parts of it. I think everybody who was in it had some pretty decent showing. Obviously, Connor Carver on their side absolutely did great. Cam Kendrick was, pretty much next to the top. And then obviously Sam Holloway did pretty good. Glad to see him back. I think he's like actually regioned where I live, so it might be good to see a show if he's actually part of the ID program again. And then obviously I think Cappuccino Jones gets the MVP on that side of things because he just lasted as long as he could and had a lot of good matches, parts he could do, what he could do in there with the whole like fake injury thing. So I'll put it in a solid A. I thought it was a good match. Only match on the card. Kind of difficult to judge when you see this kind of show because it just felt like all over the place. I'd put it in a solid B plus. I think I would put it a little bit higher, but like I think I was a little disappointed that we just didn't get another match. I really believe that they should have ran like a 5 to 6 minute women's match to start off the card unless they're building the story with like the women not getting matches and like that's going to be part of the storyline. It's very meta to a certain extent, but if it works, it works. But at the moment, I don't think that's what they're going to necessarily go with. So I guess I'm going to have to, dock them a little couple points. But yeah, tell me if you guys are watching. Tell me if you guys are going to miss it after 3 weeks. It's going to be gone. Obviously, there'll be other stuff up on the channel, but this will be sorely missed a bit in between, I guess, because it's just how it's gone, I guess. No matches. So until next time, this has been Japan. Bye, guys.